Having to deal with this car again. The way I see it, we need to work it out ourselves. But as a driver, I'll do what I can. And I'm sure my teens can handle anything. Lizzy Musi won 3 straight No Prep Kings races, making her the first woman to do so. She made history in a sport that did everything it could to keep women out. She broke records and won over $300,000 in prizes. But in April 2023, during what should have been her busiest time of the year, she got flu-like symptoms that wouldn't go away. The next thing the doctors said to her changed everything. Even after treatments, the news got worse by November. The person who said they would be there for her lost touch with her when she needed them the most. Fans of speed were not ready for this story. Elizabeth Patricia Musi was born on January 1, 1991, in Carteret, New Jersey. She is now known as Lizzy Musi. From the beginning, her life was full of heavy metal noise, oil spots, and long nights spent in a garage that felt more like a second home. Pat Musi, her father, was already famous. A race car driver and engine builder who has won 7 Street World titles. Someone that the best NHRA racers trusted with their engines. Lizzy's mother, who was also named Elizabeth, gave her her own name. For Lizzy, that was enough to make her feel like she had power and a legacy from the day she was born. They were middle class and lived a simple life. Races were going on everywhere in the house, but nothing flashy. There were engine parts where there should have been chairs. There was always life in the garage. Lizzy used to play with toy cars on the floor while her dad tested loud motors nearby. She would use her hands to imitate gear shifts. Before she could figure out what they meant. She didn't know it, but grease and oil were writing her future. Lizzy went to her first real drag race at Englishtown's Old Bridge Township Raceway Park when she was only 5 years old. She would always remember that moment. The ground shook. The engines roared. The air smelled like rubber that was on fire. She didn't feel scared, she felt excited. Then she said it was her first love. She stood near the starting line and watched with wide eyes as cars shot off. After that, she begged to come back every chance she got. By the time she was 10, family trips were planned around racetracks instead of beaches. Kids her age heard stories about legendary people like John Force, and adults talked about almost fatal blowouts like they were everyday events. It didn't scare her to race. She felt pulled in more. Lizzy grew up at home with her younger sister Patricia, who would also go on to race. She had a close bond with her father, though. Pat began teaching Lizzy simple wrenching and car maintenance when she was 8 years old. Over time, family dinners turned into times to talk about tuning, setups, and race tactics. The shed turned into her school. The scary stories her dad told her about wins and disasters taught her to be careful with speed. We saw that way of thinking early on. Lizzy wrote in school papers that she could run faster than boys in a sport that was mostly played by men, but she never got the chance to prove it. 2007 was a big year for change. Lizzy started racing in the NHRA Junior Drag Racing League when she was 16 years old. She had begged her dad for a junior dragster. It was a small but dangerous machine with a 600 cubic centimeters bike engine. Her first race was at New Jersey's Atco Dragway. Everyone was shocked that day. She was the only girl in the race and won with a 7.89 second pass. She wasn't scared. She wasn't careful. She had no fear. One run made her famous in the area almost overnight, and it was clear what it was all about. She belonged right here. 20 junior events were held that year, and she won 15 of them. Her personal best time dropped to 7.21 seconds at 85 miles per hour. However, racing had a bad side as well. At Island Dragway, her engine stopped working in the middle of a run, and the car caught fire. People stood still and watched her climb out, not hurt but shaken. She was scared, but that didn't stop her. She came back. For Lizzy, that was the year she learned that speed alone wasn't enough. She still went to Carteret High School during the week as usual, doing homework and going to races at the same time. The girl skipped her senior prom to try to win a regional title. She got home late with a prize under her arm and grease on her nails. People in her class didn't get her. Some people made fun of her. It didn't matter. She was sure of what she wanted. Her dad also made sure she knew how dangerous the sport could be by telling her stories of crashes that killed people in close calls. His main goal was to make sure she survived, not just win, so he built her junior dragster himself. Lizzy finished her junior year in 2009 as the runner-up for National Junior Athlete and won $5,000. Instead of having a party, she bought her first pair of slicks. It was a quiet thing to say. She was no longer having fun. At about the same time, her sister Patricia wrecked her own junior dragster in a race between siblings. They didn't fight, instead, they stayed up late together, laughing while fixing cars, even though they were dirty and tired. Racing brought them closer together. Lizzy got good grades in high school and finished with honors in 2009. Going to college was never the plan. She started working right away at Pat Newsy Racing Engines in Mooresville, North Carolina, after her family moved south. She began at the bottom and worked 12-hour shifts for $10 an hour, mopping oily floors and cleaning parts. Everyone was shocked when, in her first week, she found a broken fuel injector on a ProMod engine that experienced techs had missed. She was able to repair complicated engines on her own by the end of her first year. She was no longer seen as Pat's kid. They thought she was a mechanic. In 2010, she fixed up a 1,000 horsepower Hemi engine that helped a client win at Bristol Dragway. The build sheet now had her name on it, which doesn't happen very often. For a girl in the sport. Veterans began calling her Mini Pat, and this time it wasn't a joke. In the same year, she helped put together her shift car, a Dodge Stratus called King Kong 5. It had a 903 engine with 5 stages of nitrous pumping that made about 3,000 horsepower. Lizzy set it to a very fast 3.90 second pass. During tests, the walls shook. This was no longer school. It was real. She had to deal with sexism everywhere. Some workers thought she was just a daddy's girl. When Lizzy solo-tuned King Kong 5 to a run of less than 4 seconds, one of them learned the hard way. The jokes stopped after that. Lizzy worked in a shop and saved $20,000 to pay for her kart license. She learned how to be in charge and calm by driving alone on back roads late at night. She had spent a lot of time behind the wheel before she actually raced. In January 2011, she raced for the first time as a professional in the Top Gentleman class at Orlando Speed World. She qualified 8th with a time of 3.95 seconds and made it to the semifinals before her day was over because her transmission broke. She raced in 15 events that year, won 8, and ran a 3.82 second mile at 198 miles per hour. People began to pay attention. The next race was in June 2012 at South Georgia Motorsports Park. At 180 miles per hour, her car shook very hard and turned sideways. She almost got off the plane. The video went everywhere. Even though she was hurt, she left and came back anyway. At Rockingham Dragway in 2013, she had to deal with a cockpit fire caused by an engine backfire. In a little more than a second, she turned off the car and got out with her eyebrows on fire. She ran again the next day. By the middle of 2013, she was third in the PDRA Pro Nitrous standings, beating veterans by 1,000th of a second. She won $15,000 and got her first big endorsement that year. She turned down modeling jobs because she thought her speed was more beautiful. It only mattered that they raced. Everything changed in 2014. In a 3.79 second run, she came in second at Rockingham and then made history at Virginia Motorsports Park by becoming the first woman to win a Pro Nitrous final. To do it, she beat 12 guys. On the same weekend, she went faster than 200 miles per hour, hitting 200.48 miles per hour. She was only 5 feet 3 inches tall, but she had complete control over a 2,500-pound machine. Lizzy Musi came back to protect her PRA title in 2015, as if she had something to prove. During that year, she won 4 big races, including a wild one at Virginia Motorsports Park. That race was Jason Harris's first loss of the season, ending his perfect record. She thought she was on top of the world, but in an instant, drag racing can turn her happiness into fear. She got off to a fast start with a 3.75 second pass at the ADRL US Drags in Bristol. A few hundred feet into the run, the car lost control, hit the air rung, and began to flip over on its back. It fell almost 200 feet and became bent and broken when it finally stopped. People in the stands thought they were seeing a crash that killed someone. After that, Lizzy got out with only a few skin cuts. In the end, she said it was just a small change to the suspension that didn't work right at that speed. That accident did more than just scare everyone. It showed how close victory is to tragedy and how calm she was when everything went wrong. During the same season, her stats showed a different picture. Lizzy was third on the list of all-time low qualifiers. This wasn't because she had a good weekend, but because she kept running fast and clean. It was amazing to see how many 3.72 passes she made in 2015. One of them was at 205 miles per hour. After one of those hits, her Dodge Dart bent because it was hit with so much force. The frame was damaged so badly that the car had to be taken apart and put back together in the middle of the season. To keep her in the game, they worked long nights in their own shop under the lights. That grind. A lot of people remembered her for the way her tools clanged late at night and everything smelled like fuel. Not just her skill behind the wheel. Because of this, her team could rebuild a race car around her and send her back out. In 2016 and 2017, she kept showing up at important times. Her best time was 3.68 seconds, which she set at Virginia, where she also made it to 3 more PDA finals. Still, she made the most important choice during that time when she skipped a big event. They found a very small crack in the frame while they were checking it out. At slow speeds, it might work, but at speeds of more than 200 miles per hour, it would fall apart. Lizzy knew what it meant right away. She chose to pull back. At first, fans were shocked, but drivers got it. Making that choice took a different kind of bravery. To tell her that she knew how dangerous it was and would back off when it got too high. That same place that almost killed her became the site of her best single run when she went back there in October 2018. In Pro Nitros, she hit 209.23 miles per hour, which is still a record. There was a lot of wind on the track that day. Winds pushed her car against the wall by about 2 feet. While she was still in charge, and everyone who saw her could tell she was about to lose it. She finished the race, kept her cool, and got a number that put her name in the record books. It was called a masterclass in control because she not only made it through, but she owned the conditions. Her work with PDRA didn't end with a single record or crash. At the end of her time there, she had 5 wins, 9 rounds, and a third-place finish among the low qualifiers. The cost was high. It took her 2 months to heal after a burnout accident in 2017 that left her hands so badly burned. Things from that time were very sad to look at. Someone in the race had bandaged fingers, raw skin, and couldn't even hold on to the driving wheel for a while. She fought back, though, and went back to the car. That comeback showed everyone that every prize was won with blood and pain. At that point, she made a choice that shocked a lot of people in the know. She turned down a chance to race in NHRA Pro Mod in 2017. As a driver, you hoped to get that call. Lizzy looked at the deal and said no. She thought the show was too businesslike for how she wanted to live and race. She decided to be independent instead. She would pay for her own nitro runs and decide how to go. There are a lot of big backers in her world, but she showed that she would rather fight her own way than follow someone else's plan. She kept that way of thinking with her into the world that would make her famous to a whole new group of people. She joined Street Outlaws No Prep Kings in 2019 and came in like a storm. It was a special Pat Musi-built 1968 Camaro with 2 turbochargers that she drove out in. And over 3,000 horsepower. When she first showed up at Rockingham in North Carolina, she got a lot of attention right away. There was no stopping her after her 3.89-second pass. The field had to be careful right away. There is no grip on the car, it was made to be pushed hard. She went into it with the same mix of respect and anger that got her through PDRA. She was one of only a few women racing at that level without any preparation. And the way she performed showed that she wasn't just there as a mascot. She was there to get the win. Later in 2019, at Tunica in Mississippi, she made her first big break in No Prep Kings. In the final, she raced against Daddy Dave, who had finished many races before. In terms of raw power, his car was faster, but Lizzy was faster off the start. And that small difference made all the difference. In a whole shot, she beat him by just 0.808 seconds, becoming the first woman to win an NPK event. She got $40,000 for it, and Drag Illustrated wrote a cover story about it. The win sent a message to the whole series, which was more important than the money. She wasn't a guest. She was dangerous. Something even more deep was shown on her second NPK outing. The track at South Georgia Motorsports Park became dangerous. The track was slippery with oil from earlier races, and driver after driver lost control, slid, or spun. A few cars went around the whole groove. Some almost fell over. Lizzy set up anyway. She kept the car going straight, and in 3.92 seconds, she won. It was important to have control more than the time. She changed how she read the surface. Had a level of feel that very few drivers ever reach. He stayed calm while so many others were having a hard time. Began to praise her not only as a quick driver but also as having one of the steadiest hands in the series. She also had drama, but she knew how to handle it. Before a big race, her rival Chuck Utzler tried to put her down by calling her daddy's puppet, which meant that she got everything she had from her dad's money and brains. Lizzy answered by winning, which is how runners like to be answered. When the cameras were on her after the race, she said something simple that went viral. "My dad is very smart. My foot is on fire." More than 500,000 people saw that statement on social media. It became a catchphrase for her fans and a clear message to anyone who thought she was just a bystander in her own story. The cameras loved her sound bites, but what she did in the background stood out even more. Lizzy made changes to her own car in between runs. She slept in the truck while they were on the road. Fans could see her from a long way away because she wore a special pink helmet. After the show was over, they watched her roll under the car with a wrench. It was clear that she wasn't acting. She was going through the motions. She has a lot of fans in NPK because she works hard and has style. Oh, her 2019 season stats proved what everyone else was saying. In the end, she won 20 rounds and ended in the top 10 in points. When she tried to qualify in Las Vegas but failed, her time went down, and the whole year almost fell apart. At one point, it looked like she might not make the cut at all. After some last-minute changes, her crew changed pieces and she clawed her way back into the field. The save made everyone remember that in this sport, you either win as a team or lose as a team. It turned into one of those stories that teams tell each other when they are tired but still keep going. After that, in 2020, she went from being a top runner to a historic event. In that year, Lizzy won 3 races in a row, making her the first driver in No Prep Kings to do so. The first race in her streak was at Muscle Cars and Classics. With a 3.85-second pass, she shocked Ryan Martin and won. After that, she kept going. After 2 more finals and 2 more runs under 390 seconds, she suddenly held the mark by herself. No other NPK driver, man or woman, had ever won 3 races in a row. The power and the setup were thanks to her team and her dad, Pat. But anyone who watched could tell that her nerve and attention were also what made those races go. As an NPK player, she won 136 rounds and made it to 12 tournament finals, where she won 7 of them. At the Gulf Coast Nationals in 2021, one of the craziest ones happened. When she red-lit her opponent by just 0 points or 1 second, it looked like she lost. She was given a second chance after an appeal. A lot of people would still be scared. Lizzy got back in line, grabbed the tree, and won. Another piece of her legend was that mix of technical rules, razor-thin margins, and then pure performance. It showed how quickly things could turn out in her favor if she got another chance. Some of the videos she will never forget were taken at Texas Motorplex in 2022. As she sped down the strip in the last round, her turbocharger blew up in a big fireball. She couldn't see anything for almost 2 seconds. Fire, smoke, and shock all tried to take her attention away. She kept her foot where it needed to be, pedaled the car, and ended with a 3.91-second pass that made sure she won. In another vlog, she said that she thought she saw her whole life flash before her eyes. She could have lost her job or even died after that run, but she didn't care and kept running. A lot of people watched the video and used it to show what real calmness looks like behind the wheel. By 2023, Lizzy was known as the No Prep King's female driver with the most wins. She won more than $300,000 and was a pioneer in what people called no prep nitro tactics. These tactics changed how teams thought about power, grip, and strategy on surfaces that hadn't been prepared. Her style made her opponents rethink how they were set up. At the same time, she had a very busy schedule. Each year, she usually ran around 40 events. She was tired from the journey, the heat, and the constant stress. She kept going, though, because she thought that each pass could be another chance to make things better for women in racing. The weekend she felt the most sad was at Empire Dragway in 2023. The weather got bad, rain soaked the track, and things looked like they might not be stable. But Lizzy won the tournament, even though the court was wet and there were delays. A 3.82-second run at 208 miles per hour was dropped. Her sister Trisha was also making a comeback at the same time, so she gave that win to her. Fans could see the tie that kept her going when her body and mind were tired from the way she talked about her family afterward. She mixed happiness, relief, and pride as she talked about them. Her work did not always go smoothly. In 2022, a fight over points with No Prep King's organizers led to a suspension for one event. She didn't keep quiet about it. In public, Lizzy fought back, saying that the grading had to be fair and clear. Even though some people didn't agree with her, the whole story showed that she was ready to fight for what she thought was right, even if it meant going against the people who ran the show. Behind the excitement of racing, the same focus that made her who she was on the track also shaped her personal life. One friendship with a PDRA driver ended quickly in 2014, and the other one didn't last long in 2015. Pat Musi, her dad, had a strict rule that he often said, "Keep your attention on the throttle." That meant a lot to Lizzy. Up until about 25, she only thought about driving and gave it her all. In July 2014, that hard work paid off. She was the first woman to win a national Pro Nitrous race at the PDRA US Drags, and in 8th Mile Pro Mod racing, she went faster than 200 miles per hour. Later, when she had some alone time, she admitted that her success had a price because she was still a person trying to balance her goals with her normal wants. In 2020, she met Kai Kelly, another NPK racer, at a holler party in Tennessee. This was the start of a new, important part of her life. They became friends because they both loved old cars, especially a 1969 Camaro. The proposal took place at Darlington Dragway in South Carolina on July 31, 2021. The ring had the words "Full Throttle Forever" carved on it. Fans cheered, and the interaction was talked about all over the race world. But the story began to fall apart. By mid-2023, her posts on social media showed that she was having trouble. The gap between them kept rising as she wrote about traveling and racing by herself. In late that same year, she confirmed that the relationship was over and said that the main reason was that she wasn't getting enough help while she was fighting stage 4 breast cancer. To get away from the cameras and track lights, Lizzy picked a simple place to live in Mooresville, North Carolina. She had a garage at her house that could be used as both an office and a place to hang out. Trisha, her sister, and she had girls' nights there where they tuned engines and drank wine. Friends knew that Shed is a place where tools, jokes, and secrets lived together. There, cars were getting ready for war, and Lizzy could spend a few hours just being a sister and a friend. There were other ways that her heart shone through. After winning a big race in 2022, she gave $10,000 to junior girls' racing programs without anyone knowing. The reason she did it wasn't to get attention. She just wanted to make things easier for the next generation because she knew how hard it had been for her as a young woman to make it in a sport that was mostly men. Some people in the racing world saw her gift as another sign that her goals were bigger than just getting more trophies. Her body was giving her strong signals about the constant drive. In 2021, Lizzy passed out from being so thirsty during a race that was held in 100-degree heat. In the end, she was in a hospital bed getting 4 fluids to cool her down and feed her. The sight shocked the woman who was known as the Iron Woman. She told herself later that she had pushed herself too far. That scare changed things. It taught them that being tough also meant knowing when to take a break. In April 2023, everything changed once more. Lizzy told her fans that she had been diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer in stage 4. This is a rare and aggressive type of cancer that doesn't react to hormone treatments and spreads quickly. It had already spread to her lymph nodes and liver by the time it was found. She said she felt like she had the flu while getting ready for another season of No Prep Kings. At first, she thought it was just because she was tired. She said it was terrible when the doctors told her the truth. She said something that showed who she was on the inside, though. You chose the wrong foe. Less than 10% of women with breast cancer have triple negative, and younger women are more likely to get it. This made her fight seem even more important to those watching. She refused to go away, even after being told that. In 2023, Lizzy kept running even though she was getting chemotherapy. In June, she shared a picture of herself without her helmet on, with her suit still on and her eyes closed. People were moved by that picture in a way that highlight reels couldn't. She was the first woman to win a No Prep Kings event while being bald from chemotherapy. She won a big round and showed that being sick hadn't slowed her down. At the same time, she was honest about how alone she felt when she lost support at home. She said more than once that being emotionally apart hurt more than some of the treatments. The scans done in November 2023 showed that the liver tumors were still getting bigger. Traditional chemo was stopped even after several treatments so she could take part in a clinical study. She still went to race in Las Vegas in the middle of all that. She made it into the top 5 there. Another sign that her desire to be competitive had not gone away. She fell down in the pits after one run because she was so hurt. She had her team gather around her, and fans watched in fear and awe. It was hard to believe that someone who looked so weak could still be running at speeds that most adults never reach. Early in 2024, she stopped competing all the time to focus more on treatment. People who were following her journey kept getting honest information from her. As of April 2024, a year after being diagnosed, she wrote another note that a lot of people still thought about. 1 year in hell, but a reason to live. The picture showed her in Mooresville with her family. She was still involved in racing through her family's business and was still trying to use her pain to help other people. Lizzy Musi died at home on June 27, 2024. She was only 33 years old. Her father posted on Facebook that she had died, and his post quickly went viral, getting more than 1 million views and thousands of comments from sports fans and stars. Big names from No Prep Kings and other places called her the heart of No Prep. People remembered not only her wins, but also her fire, her honesty, and her refusal to be anyone else.